Beneath one of Earth's calmest seas, something massive is stirring. No explosions, no shaking, just the slow grind of two gigantic tectonic plates locked in a quiet struggle beneath the South China Sea. For decades, scientists have watched the Manila Trench, a fault stretching from Taiwan to the northern Philippines, as pressure quietly builds with no release. Some call it the Pacific's ticking time bomb. But here's the unsettling truth. Silence can be the warning. In nature, the quietest faults are often the most dangerous, and this one lies only kilometers from tens of millions of people. When it finally breaks, the shock won't stop at the Philippines. It could ripple across Asia, reshaping coastlines, cities, and economies within hours. So how close are we to that moment? In this investigation, we'll explore how the Manila Trench formed, why it stayed silent for centuries, and what new evidence suggests that silence might be ending. Because when the ocean sleeps too long, it wakes with force. Picture the ocean floor as a deep scar, 1,000 kilometers long, separating the Eurasian and Philippine Sea Plates. This is the Manila Trench, a subduction zone where one plate dives beneath the other. It's not a clean split, but a slow, grinding collision. Each year, the sea floor sinks about 5 centimeters, roughly the width of your thumb. It sounds small, but it carries the weight of continents. Normally, such faults release tension through minor quakes. But the Manila Trench doesn't. It's been locked for centuries, storing pressure with nowhere to go. Deep underground, the rock bends like a loaded spring, holding energy equal to thousands of nuclear blasts. The deeper it locks, the bigger the quake when it finally slips. Scientists call this a megathrust fault, the same type that caused the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami and Japan's 2011 Tohoku disaster. But here, monitoring is scarce. No deep-sea sensors, no nearby warning buoys. If the trench ruptures suddenly, the world might only know once the first wave reaches the coast. So, is the fault truly locked? Or is it already starting to move? In late 2024, a cluster of small earthquakes struck northern Luzon. Most people barely noticed, but seismologists did. GPS data showed the ground shifting by a few millimeters, a subtle sign that the trench was straining again. Then came something stranger, slow slip events, gradual movements too faint to feel, but similar to those that preceded Japan's 2011 quake. These small slips release bits of pressure while hinting that something deeper remains stuck. And the deeper the lock, the greater the eventual break. Even the ocean is showing signs. Pressure sensors off Luzon have detected tiny changes in seafloor height, as if the seabed itself were breathing. None of this guarantees a massive quake, but together they form a pattern scientists have seen before, always in the years leading up to catastrophe. And here's the haunting part. The last confirmed megathrust event here happened centuries ago, which means that stress has had centuries to reload. If the trench is moving again, the real question isn't if it will break, but whether we'll notice before it does. Imagine the trench like a bow drawn to its limit. When the string snaps, there's no thunder, just the seafloor lurching violently up and down. In less than a minute, the rupture tears through the fault like an unzipping seam. The seabed shifts by meters, thrusting a massive wall of water outward at jet speed. Near the fault, the sea doesn't rise. It vanishes. Harbors drain, shorelines retreat, boats topple in the mud. That eerie, silent low tide is the cue no one recognizes. The first wave is already coming. On Luzon's west coast, time is cruel. Just minutes, not hours. Coastal towns are hit first. Streets become rivers. Cars float, collide, and vanish. Concrete dissolves like sand. Farther away, the tsunami races across the South China Sea, refracting around islands. 2 hours later, other coastlines that thought they were safe watch the horizon bulge. The second or third wave may be even larger, depending on how the fault ruptures. Between each surge, debris is pulled seaward and hurled back inland. A deadly cycle. Power fails. Communication collapses. Maps and drones become useless as the coastline itself changes. And the most critical variable isn't wave height, it's time. How much warning will people get? And who's listening when the ocean whispers instead of roars? Within minutes, the disaster turns from geological to human. On Luzon's west coast, 8 million people live within the first impact zone. Car alarms, dogs, shouts, then silence. The ocean retreats. Fishermen rush toward stranded boats. Children laugh at fish flopping in the mud. And then the sea returns. A 10-meter wall of debris-filled water striking with the force of concrete. Wooden homes vanish instantly. Concrete fractures. Roads disappear. Power lines spark as transformers drown. People climb rooftops, filming what they think is the final wave. But it isn't. A second surge follows, stronger, faster. Emergency radios crackle, then die. Helicopters can't take off through the chaos. Survivors cling to high ground, waiting for dawn to reveal what's left. But beyond the Philippines, the wave keeps moving, carrying the disaster toward coastlines still unaware their clock is ticking. Over open water, the tsunami races faster than a jet, heading for southern China, Vietnam, and Malaysia. By the time it nears land, satellites detect its shape, but communication lines are already down. In Hong Kong, harbors empty without warning. Cargo ships scrape bottom. Alarms echo across Victoria Harbor. Macau's casinos, built on reclaimed land, watch the sea vanish, then return like a freight train. Vietnam's fishing villages are hit by 5-meter waves. Seawalls hold once, then collapse. Offshore rigs shut down. Oil slicks ignite. Across southern China's industrial belt, the region's trade engine grinds to a halt. Container ports flood. Power plants fail. Global supply chains crumble. Financial markets freeze as live footage shows the ocean reshaping continents. And while the world watches, the trench keeps moving. Aftershocks ripple north toward Taiwan. Scientists warn that one rupture could trigger others, a chain reaction of megathrusts across the western Pacific. The terrifying question, where does it stop? When the waves finally fade, satellites reveal an altered map. Parts of western Luzon have risen 2 meters. Others are gone beneath the sea. Rescue teams from Japan, Australia, and the U.S. navigate through oil-slick debris. Governments declare emergencies. Ports shut down. The South China Sea becomes a humanitarian corridor instead of a trade hub. Yet amid the chaos, cooperation emerges. Scientists share live data across borders. Engineers restore communications via temporary satellites. The disaster reveals a truth. Every nation around this sea shares the same fault line, and none can face it alone. Months later, the headlines fade, but the ocean doesn't forget. Coral reefs now sit meters higher. Beaches have shifted. GPS markers no longer match the land. The Manila Trench is quiet again, but not healed. It's adjusting slowly, like a wound closing. And scientists wonder, was that the main event or just the beginning? Because Earth never resets after disaster, it reloads. What we call calm seas are only the pause between acts. As the world rebuilds, the trench waits. Silent, patient, inevitable. And one day that silence will break again. So now the question is yours. If you lived along these coasts, would you stay or move inland, knowing what lies beneath? Share your thoughts below. I read them all.